Testing, testing. Let's see how stable we are today. Hello, guys. What's up, Tolek, Hank, Michael? What's going on, guys? So, I think we do something different today for a little while. First, we're going to look at the player counselor applications. So, some of you may not be aware of the player counselor, of what the purpose of them is. Playing against easy AI. Nice. Good stuff. Well, you should be well able for the easy AI after watching all my games. So, you know, why don't we take a look at some of the applications here? Now, some of you probably won't be too interested, but it's fine. It's fine. What's up, Niall? What's up, Joshua? So, you know, basically on FAF, you know, it's open source projects. There are certain positions where people, you know, have responsibilities for various things, whether it's Brutus, who is the main server admin. He basically maintains he maintains the server and a lot of different services. You have balance counselor. I was balance counselor for several years, so I'm basically in charge of balance and testing, patch notes, publishing the patches, and all of this stuff, developing the patches. One of those people is the player counselor, which was a role. I mean, a bit of a history lesson. I'm trying to think now who all the player counselors have been. I think there was TA for Life, who was elected really because he's a popular guy, and he didn't really end up doing very much. I mean, he sort of basically all he did was run the ladder pool. That was what he did mainly. That was kind of it. We had Toquito. Toquito like organized, say, tournaments like every Saturday, and he ran the map pool. And beyond that, not too much. Maybe the odd survey or whatever. Who else was player counselor? Was anyone else player counselor? I'm trying to think now. I don't think anyone else was player counselor, actually. Those were the only two, and they really didn't do very much. I mean, yeah, Taquito ran tournaments every week, which maybe some people forgot about. But we have FTX as our player counselor now, right? So he's been player counselor for I don't know how long. He interesting that he actually wasn't allowed to run. He was removed from the running initially, and then there was a lot of backlash over that decision. I mean, I was obviously against that decision. Well, maybe not obviously, but I was against that decision at the time, and then it eventually got rolled back, and then he was included, and then he won, and now he's been player counselor for a long time, and he's been doing a lot of different things. So let's look at what he said first. So there's basically going to be an election now. Not sure why it's now exactly, but it is. So let's see. 14th of May, discussion period begins. I don't really know what that's about. Why can't we just discuss it now? Well, actually, today is the 14th, so I don't know. I guess they just want to allow all the signups to come in. 21st of May, signups close. Council and board review. That basically means kick out anyone who is not suitable. We'll get to that later once we see all the signups. And then 28th of May, candidates announced, election period begins. So, okay, fair enough. I don't really understand why the timeline is like that, but there you go. What's up, Bully? What's up, Noah? Alright. So, here's what you have to do. PC, member of council of sentence who's elected by the community. One of the only ones elected by the community. I think most positions are not elected, because obviously there's no point in electing someone to be server admin. That doesn't really make any sense. You have to actually be a server admin, and that's it. The board reserves the right to disqualify some candidates in rare circumstances. How rare are they? How common are they? We'll see. I mean, the whole election is a rare thing. Communicate with as many FAF players as possible. Gather, represent, promote their ideas. Organize a schedule of FAF community project events. Questionable why that's a player counselor responsibility and not a promotions counselor responsibility. 9-2 is promotions counselor. So, yeah, okay. Organize tournament directors who run tournaments for players. Gather feedback from the FAF community to determine their top desires and problems. That's kind of the same thing as the first one, I guess. Present and represent this information in the best interest of the players to the Council of Sentence. Cool. FAF is a monarchy. A little bit. It kind of is. Oh, we being, I know a lot about FAF. I know how it works, so it's a funny place, and it's a funny place, really. But okay, PC will take Councillor's Pledge, collaborate the FAF board. That's an interesting new development, which we won't go into because we're talking about player councillor. It's not really relevant right now. Communicate professionally and avoid bringing FAF into disrepute. That's an interesting one. Spend at least 4 hours a week on these responsibilities. Be available at least 2 hours every other week for a voice call to discuss these responsibilities and the responsibilities of other FAF councillors. I'm not like, who's the voice call with? I'm not sure who the voice call is supposed to be with here, but okay. Definitely the council does not have a voice call every other week. I mean, being real, the council might have a voice call every 6 months. Maybe. I will use and be available on the FAF Zulip chat as much as possible. That's basically the dev chat the developers use. I will do my best to help the other councillors perform their responsibilities. Sure, I guess. Still no idea how you vote. Well, that will come later. There's some kind of app for voting. What's up, Maximilian? What's up, Ryan? Don't leak insider information. Whoa. Yeah, I know. Yeah, this is ridiculous. I understand that if I'm unable to perform these duties, I'll be resign or be replaced. Cool. I mean, it might take a while, but that's true. To apply, do this. We're looking at the player counselor applications, Ryan. So, yeah, that's what, I just thought we need to cover this. It's very important. Your FAF username, interest in the role, how you maintain your duties, what you will change as the PC. Obviously, if you want everything to stay the same, then there's no point in running against FTX, so that makes sense. And yeah. And here's an interesting one. There'll be no post in this thread other than candidates giving their platforms. You can talk about your own platform, not the other candidates. Now that specifically means in this thread. I mean, in other threads, there will be talking about other people's platforms. Am I going to become a counselor? No, I'm done being a counselor. I was bounce counselor for years, and I'm glad that I'm not anymore. Yeah, once the period is over, people will be able to question, comment, and criticize. Only 1 week for that. That's not very much. Okay, let's see. So, he links to... Here is the initial thread that 9-2 made, which is FTX. There's going to be a player counselor, and it's like 3 lines. And FTX basically explained what he's been doing. Pay not good enough. Yeah, exactly. It'd be nice to try. Wrong canceller, god damn it. Alright, here's the current responsibilities on managing as player counselor. What candidates should expect to either have a plan to directly control or individuals which they expect to delegate the responsibilities to. FAF Live management. FAF Live is the Twitch channel that was started, I don't know, less than a year ago. Twitch.tv/FAFLive, where official events are hosted, creating events, finding players, finding casters. So this is, you know, that's the three things that you need to run stuff on there, obviously. You need players, you need events, you need casters to cover them. Tournaments, working with potential donors to create tournament formats that will appeal to them while creating best environment place possible for players. Okay. Working with new TDs, working with the regular TDs to make sure things make sense and the funds go to the understandable places for different tournaments. Understand how to create avatars. Okay, well that's kind of, you can figure that one out. Investigating tournaments in other games in order to apply lessons, sure. Lots, this is the end of year tournament, and which also has qualifying tournaments beforehand, and it's the biggest by far tournament thing on FAF. I mean, Swackle's tournaments are also quite large, but Lots is the most prestigious by far. Collecting funds from a variety of regular private donators, 5 Patreon, potential external sponsors. Organize promotion of the event, ensure there are no issues with the event. Sure that the tournament format is good, and the tournament format has been gradually improving over the years, so just keep refining the format until it's really good. Host and organize the tournaments that are intended to feed into Lots. That's the qualifiers and also the leagues, which now is involved in, you know this league thing where you qualify top 8 in the league, then you get into a tournament, and then wherever you place in the tournament you get a certain number of points, and the number of points you get from that will qualify you into Lots if you get enough of them. So now it's all tied together over the year. What's up, Casey? So that's all of Lots. That's quite a lot of stuff there. Well done, Hank. Training. Be active in training channel and assist new players with issues. Foster an environment where you can grab players that were taught to then train others. Maintain the list of current trainers. Write guides. Make videos. Yeah, FTX has made a long guide for playing FAF. Apologies, there's some lag here, but it probably shouldn't matter. I think my voice doesn't lag, but it's basically a static screen now anyway. Okay, Matchmaker, organize, maintain various Matchmaker map sheets. That's basically ranking all the maps. Organize the Matchmaker teams. Basically run everything that goes into Matchmaker, which is like organizing the map pools, rating the maps. And FTX has a lot of people that he works with that do a lot of that stuff for him. And that work with him. So like Arch does the ladder pool, FTX does the 2v2 pool. A lot of people have rated maps and things so that there's sort of some number associated with the quality of a map, or various numbers. And I help with that, and several other players help with that. Gauge player preferences, adjust matchmakers. You know, nobody's ever fully happy with Matchmaker. They always need some love. Understand true skill, as well as fast adjustment to the system. And as player counsel, you have a responsibility to, at the minimum, be aware of any FAF developments to the system in order to understand the potential impact to players. This is relevant to other people's applications. And FTX does like to argue about true skill. Just ask him about it. And you should be proactively collaborating with server developers in order to improve the system without harming the integrity of the system itself. Yeah, this is all good stuff. And then players, be available in as many areas as possible: forums, Discord, FAF. He is the player counselor after all. If you can't get to him, then he can't represent you and your ideas. Have as large personal pool of manpower. Read collaborators. This is extremely important. This is the main strength of FTX, honestly, is the number of collaborators he has, the number of people he works with to help him do all of this. Like, look, like we've already gone through a lot of stuff here, okay? And there's more stuff. So that's actually the most important thing in the whole thing for me, is having a lot of collaborators to work with. That's really the number one thing. They're able to assist in everything from refining ideas, taking over responsibilities. What's up, Lincoln? How's it going? Who wants to commit full time to PC? I don't know. Collect player feedback, while also being capable of condensing it into relevant, independent information depending on the individual circumstances. Taquito. It's Toquito. Taquito. Right. Acts as a pipeline that feeds players' needs to devs, but dev work to players. Good stuff. Yeah, Taquito was the PUBG counselor, exactly. Has committed crimes. No, you don't. You're not. There's no crimes committed on FAF, as far as I know. Right. So, keep general users aware of the state of the FAF project, while also understanding what areas actually need more manpower from general users interested in contributing. So this is good. Just like feeding. Just basically information. It's all about information, because the communication in FAF is generally extremely poor historically, and probably less so now, but it's also not great now, but it has always been very poor on FAF. So it is important that people understand that where development is happening, where more developers are needed, because there's a lot of coders in the community who may be interested. I don't know when the new balance patch is coming out. I don't think there's anything extra in the patch other than what's on the forums. Keeping yourself aware of both gameplay trends, as well as player attitude trends across all players. Sure. Developers, as I said before, you must act as a pipeline. Yeah, sure. Basically communicate between devs and players, because there's always been some kind of split in people's minds between devs and players, and it also kind of exists, but it's also kind of in people's heads, but it kind of exists. Currently, this means working on helping maintain the new division system. Interesting. That's one that's been talked about for a long time, but hopefully it appears soon. Giving input to improve the matchmaking algorithm for upcoming larger matchmaker queues. That's going to be important, because there's a lot of complaints about, well, though, I'm not, these matches are too imbalanced. And then it's like, if you make them need to be very balanced, then will you get enough games, or will you have 12 people sitting in the queue? It's like, it's a balancing act. Give input on the actual design of the implementation of Galactic War. People are working on Galactic War. Imagine caring about users when developing. That's a hilarious sentiment, unironically shared by several developers in FAF's history. Working with developers on data dumps and gathering information from data dumps to get a more refined picture of FAF. But okay. Using stats to understand what the hell is going on. Being an individual that developers in general can approach for input. Also extremely important. Counselors having a proper collaborative relationship with other counselors. Understand what's going on. pick up the slack in order to act as voice of counsel to players. This is often necessary because a lot of counselors don't communicate or are inactive at certain times or are perennially inactive or, you know, etc. Acting as the player voice to other counselors. This is extremely important, obviously. Because once again, a lot of counselors don't play the game or are disconnected from the community in a certain kind of way. Whether that means approaching moderation counselor or gaining information for Galactic War or other development projects. Often being responsible for coordinating events such as elections or selection of counselors. Yeah. All things that have happened in the past. Is it reasonable to expect the player counselor to actually, for all of this, to be under the purview of the player counselor? I mean, questionable, but the reality is that that's where we are. And yeah, so that's here. Oh yeah, here we go. Probably spend a sum of 16 to 24 hours a week on average. This with the sunk investment of having already established all necessary personal connections I need to maintain all of my responsibilities and understanding the various idiosyncrasies of both individuals that I need to work with, as well as FAF itself. This is not to be underestimated. This last part, the various idiosyncrasies of both individuals and as well as FAF, can't be underestimated. So basically, FTX is saying, I've been doing all of this, have done all of this, and I've been doing it for years. If you're going to apply and be a reasonable candidate, you have to meet these obligations, essentially. Otherwise, these things are not going to be met because currently FTX is the person doing this and making this happen. Now again, if we go back to the history lesson at the start, what did I mention Taquito did or TA for Life did? Okay. Taquito, he did communicate with devs somewhat. He organized like a tournament every Saturday. And he ran the ladder map pool. That's like it, really. Now that's most of it. That's pretty much all he did. TA for Life did even less than that. And that's like 2-3 years of FAF player counselor. And then you have FTX. Okay. So let's see the other applications, right? Someone's pinging me to search TMM. Ridiculous. Suzuki runs in with the Space Marine quote. What is this? There is no greater joy than knowing that the onus that you have to bear is what distinguishes you from those who have perished. The adamant chain of obedience and loyalty is the bulwark that protects you from heresy. May this light will further rule your fate by coming to the Emperor's service. Some Space Marine. Okay, no idea what that's about, but Suzuki says, it seems to me PC indulges himself in unyielding fun from the moment he took on the duty. I'd love to apply. Okay. Indulges himself in unyielding fun. Well, that's hilarious. Then we have Feather. This is Feather. Francis will say they're not Feather. I've seen this account since it was created, which wasn't that long ago. It's Feather. It is Feather. Feather is a apparently permabanned player. Apparently permabanned, but they do have an account or two, or who knows how many still. But yeah, so they're interested in running for player counselor. Morex says he wants to run for player counselor. Benny S says something. Bias says something. Benny S says something. They're all deleted. Cool. And Resistance says that yeah, both Morax and Faf done a lot of stuff. Morax was the counselor, the map and mods counselor before Bias. And after Mr. K. Why did Feather get banned? He's just raging insults in like every single game. I mean, if you look at his games now, he's kind of the same. And yeah, then 9 says go apply over here. So now FTX writes another, you know, War and Peace style forum post again. Why would Feather be a permaban player? Just being a cunt, basically. You know, racial epithets, insults, just a lot of rage. And also, yeah, that's most of it, really. Okay. Prove myself consistent, maintaining my duties and responsibilities across 3 years. This is true. There hasn't been a point where it's like FTX goes missing for a month and things are like, well, loads of stuff is not happening anymore. Like, that's never happened. He is a consistent person. So he's worked on divisions for a long time, but they're still not done, but okay. Yeah, it's not like you get permabanned immediately. It's like you get banned and you keep doing the same thing. You get banned. And then eventually you get permabanned. Because, you know, banning is not enough. So yeah, this is just explaining a division system. FAF promotions. But essentially saying he wants to get the channel to grow so that eventually they can get sponsors, actual sponsors on the channel, and that'll be much better revenue than subs or, you know, bit donations or just private donations. Better to get sponsors as well. So they got like 100 reliable viewers. I mean, more or less, aiming for 250 to 300 during this year's lots. I mean, peaking this high at lots is totally doable. I mean, they got over 200 for lots before, so pretty sure. Yeah, 2022 lots sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Exactly. What's up, Swackle? So I mean, peaking at that is reasonable. Averaging that is, I mean, this year maybe it's possible. I mean, it's possible. It's possible, but I wouldn't bet on it. What's up, Arch? Should be entering the realm where sponsors may be interested in helping support community events. Ideally, this results in more tournaments, more exposure, and yeah, exactly, just builds and builds and builds, etc. Matchmaker. Revisiting the concept of polling for map ratings. Yeah, this used to be done. And then it was done until basically nobody gave map ratings anymore because they'd been asked every month. And they eventually got bored of rating maps. So it probably could come back in less often. Well, just put up less often. Do we have many viewers? We have about 40 viewers. Expectable. Expectable. Since they're going to be sponsors, insults are banned. Well, yeah, I mean, FAF Live is not filled with insults and things. Generally. As far as I know. And yeah, he wants certain features added, but you know. I mean, insults, it depends on what you mean by insults. There's insults you can say and there's insults you can't say, you know? But generally, Faf Live is quite PG. Quite PG. Okay, tournaments. Trying to find TDs. It's not easy to find TDs, though. And yeah, these are just different plans that he has, like polling map ratings again, improving the matchmaker algorithm, the matchmaking algorithm. Try and create a no repeat function, but again, you need to find a developer who wants that and then get them to do it. But so it's just kind of, he can't really make that happen, essentially, is what he is. It's the reality of this, and this will be relevant to other people's things. And yeah, he's looking for TDs. Once again, difficult to find TDs. If you want to run tournaments, it would be very helpful for FAF, and please do that, because we don't have enough tournament directors, actually. Okay. I commit to, this is the player counselor pledge that he's committing to. Janice emote. So here's an interesting thing. I do not take the counselor pledge. How hard is running the tourney? It's not difficult. It's good to have a little bit of info from people who've run tournaments, though, so that you don't go wrong at certain points. But it's easy enough. Do not take the counselor pledge because it is folly, and the current writing of it calls for several current counselors to resign or be replaced. Read, I understand that if I am unable to perform these duties, I will resign or be replaced. And I will spend at least 4 hours per week working on these responsibilities in combination with avoid bringing FAF into disrepute. So this is a separate thing, but he's not exactly mincing his words here. And anyone involved in FAF would understand probably who he's talking about, and it's not really one person, it's probably multiple people. Which again, I mean, there's a whole question of why is FTX's position up for election when there's so many councillors who don't really do that much, don't do 4 hours, you know, or whatever. But anyway, it's a side issue. Mr. Taquito did every Saturday, can't be insanely hard. Yeah, I mean, he basically ran like a blitz 1v1 tourney. So Autopsy were busy. FTX and she are very good friends. Yeah, of course. What's up, Nicholas? Okay. So, I will pledge to work on both making a new councillor pledge and holding current councillors responsible for their failure to uphold their current pledge. They should be expected to justify why they represent the best interests of FAF while failing to maintain their pledge minimum expectations, and the last pledge point will be my first actions player counselor. So, cool. Alright, so, the first challenger, Suzuki. He's a Russian player. He's the guy who got to 3,000 rating at some point on Dual Gap. Optimal balance, and then went back to like 1,600 rating in about 2 days and got banned for that. But which really is not that bad. It's just kind of funny. Fair play for getting to 3K. I'm not sure if I think he got the 3K sort of legitimately, actually, but I'm not really sure what the story is with all of that anyway, but that's Suzuki. That's what he's known for. He plays Sentence. He plays Dual Gap. He plays Ladder now. He's a very good player. So let's see what his is that the highest rating ever? Yeah, it is. It seems suspicious. Well, no, it was more than seemed. Bully is posting things in the chat there. I don't know if that's true, but whatever. Super was 3100. There's a permaman player. Super. That's a whole other story. Super is like, oh man. Anyway, with the best of intentions. Kind of funny way to start. I would like to direct all my communication skills and efforts to help support the FAF community as well as expand it further. Okay, grow the community, cool. My main aim will be a balanced decision making while forming coherent and quick response to any conflict situation, so it corresponds to fulfillment of obligations to keep players satisfied with their FAF experience, as well as do everything reasonably possible so that the players will stay within the FAF project. So first thing I'll say is that obviously he's speaking a second language, so some of the writing is not going to be as good as FTX's writing, because FTX does speak English as his first language. So that's why this is a bit, well, it's just not perfect English or anything, but this basically says not that much. Doesn't really say that much here. He just like, he wants to grow the community. He wants to keep players satisfied in FAF and make sure that players who play on FAF stay on FAF and also get new players. So okay, cool. Attracting new players interested in the RTS genre or who once played Supreme Commander through access to resources and social platforms known to me by the presence of a target audience. Again, his English skills are really letting him down here. But I think, again, that's just, it's getting new players. But through access to resources and social platforms known to me. So he wants to use social media, but this, see, like attracting new players and things seems like the promotion counselor position. So that's kind of strange that he's applying for player counselor to promote FAF, because there is a promotions counselor position. So I'm not sure why that's his first point. That doesn't seem to be a player counselor responsibility. As a valid point, I would like to mention my convergence with the linguistic segment of the FAF community, constituting a high number, and help out so that their voice is not ignored, parentheses, Russian community. It seems to me that this segment of the community is often alienated, therefore it might bring potential issues with players not staying at FAF or having reduced player base might discourage the others. Okay, so again, English is not his first language, but okay. Let's try to parse it. My convergence with the linguistic segment of the FAF community, which I guess means he speaks Russian and English, and he will use the fact that he's bilingual to, connect those two communities. Because he feels that the Russian community, part of the community, is often alienated. Okay, he thinks it is. I mean, he'll obviously have to explain that, to be honest. Like, how are they alienated? I mean, usually what I see is Russian, say, you'll see a lot of people host tournaments who are Russian, and what'll usually happen is only Russians will sign up for those tournaments. For example, that's the most obvious area where you see a split in between, Russian community, English speaking community. But is that alienation, or is that like not really? I don't know. That needs to be explained anyway, what he means, how he's going to resolve that. He basically just, all this says is that he speaks English and Russian, and that he'll use this to bring people together somehow. Okay? From no angle, my intentions should be seen as attempts to create inequality in groups trying to raise either a group of high-ranking players above all others and their interests, or low-level players, or any other groups, on the contrary, to create an equal opportunity to vote and have a voice for impact. It is with the intention to avoid bringing it to its logical extreme. So I'm not sure what the logical extreme is. My exact reasoning I will highlight in conclusion. Okay. So I'll have to wait till the end to understand what he means there. Basically, he says he wants to represent everyone equally here. He doesn't want to represent high-level players above low-level players, or vice versa, or whatever. Equal representation between all players. That's the idea. Okay. Plans as player counselor, matchmaker. I plan to dedicate a Discord section to discuss and debate matchmaking map pools, so I can form a quick method of engaging with the community and get feedback from players of different levels. This is the best sentence, the best English sentence. That's the perfect English there. I will be surveying active ladder players and delivering the information I have gathered to map creators, which in some cases will allow them to build a map around actual gameplay rather than aesthetics. Okay, cool. Therefore, the ladder pool can be updated with quality maps faster. Okay. Not sure what he means by updated with quality maps faster. Maps are changed every month anyway. That Discord channel already exists. Debate matchmaking map pools. It does exist, actually. I mean, you have to ask to be a part of the matchmaking team, but okay. It does exist, in a way. Maybe not in how he thinks of it in his own mind, though. I would imagine. I will encourage new players to use the matchmaker more often. Okay, how will you do that? Also, is that a player counselor thing, or is that a promotion counselor thing? Once again, I don't really... Seems like a promotion counselor thing. And why will you... yeah, anyway, I will do everything in my power to improve the experience they get from the game. Okay, I mean, that's just... How, I guess, is the question there. Just how. That's just, I will improve things. I will do things, but no explanation. I also plan to return the veto system with the intention that it does not reach its logical extreme. So this one makes no sense, really. There was never any veto system. It never existed. And I don't know what the logical extreme of it is. After thorough deliberation, I will organize matchmaker map sheets based on players' preferences. So this also already exists. Not sure what the deliberation is, but this exists already. FTX has done this. No, there was never a veto system, Bully. You are incorrect. After making a discussion... What's up, Johannes? After making discussions concerning this topic, I will be bringing a map pool of at least 200 maps. So... What's the discussion for if you've already decided that you're bringing 200 maps? Is the discussion just which 200 maps? Why is the discussion preempted by your preconceived idea that you need at least 200 maps in the pool? The veto says... Yeah, but... Okay, well... It's not a veto. Because you could never veto maps. All you could do was... Okay, now I'm going to have to explain it so that people understand that there was no veto system. There was 200 plus maps. You open the thing and then you pick 15 maps, up to 15 maps, and then you get probably one of those 15 maps, or you get one of the 15 most popular maps, which generally meant you get like Winter Duel or thing. And there's a different. Oh, so there was a veto system earlier. Yeah, you see, now Bully actually didn't know that there was a. Okay, so Swackle has preempted me with even deeper knowledge of FAF, but Bully was wrong in the way I thought he was wrong. So, okay, but anyway, also the fact that he says he'd bring a map pool of 200 maps tells me that he is talking about map selection, not a veto system, because this is how the map selection worked. Anyway, if necessary, yeah, why is there a discussion and then 200 maps? I don't get that. It's like you've already decided. If necessary, I will spend at least 8 hours a week on all matters related to the Matchmaker alone. Okay, I mean, that sounds kind of crazy. How 8 hours a week just on the Matchmaker? I don't understand why you need 8 hours a week on a Matchmaker. Doesn't really make any sense to me. There's a 15 map pool with 3 vetoes as well. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't. Maybe. Was that on FAF? I mean, I don't know if that was on FAF. But anyway, it's not too important. That's not what he's talking about anyway. If necessary, I'll spend 8 hours a week on all matchmakers on all matters related to the Matchmaker alone. I don't understand that at all. I don't understand why you need 8 hours a week. How you can actually commit to spending 8 hours a week and also do everything else. That's insane. I don't get that at all. Training. On a regular basis, I will assist players in the training channel. Okay. I mean, okay. No hours mentioned there, I guess. Whenever possible, I will give personal advice when complications occur. So I personally will do lots and lots of stuff. At the request of the players, I will review their replays to conduct an analysis of their gameplay, provide them with advice to avoid further mistakes to the best of my ability. I will be planning on making tutorials if the situation requires it. So he personally will be reviewing replays, analyzing gameplay, providing them with advice, give them personal advice when complications arise, assist players in the training channel, and make tutorials if tutorials are required. I mean, I don't know how you determine whether tutorials are required, but obviously the first question is, does Suzuki do any of this right now? Answer, I don't know. I haven't seen him do it. I don't see him in the gameplay and training channel anyway. So he's definitely not in the training channel. And unless there's a Russian one that he's in a different server. But he doesn't do this. So he's just saying he's going to do this. And that's how many hours a week is that? I don't know. Is that 2 hours a week or whatever? So I'm not going to keep a tally of how many hours a week he's going to spend on being a player counselor, but also personally committing to do all of these things seems ridiculous. And also you have to wonder if he is committing to doing it if he gets elected. Why is he not doing it now? Why would he do it if he got elected? Doesn't make any sense. He doesn't do it. I will say that FTX does actually do some of this. But yeah, I mean, this, again, there's no evidence that he will do that. He just says he will. There's nothing stopping him from doing it now, but he doesn't do it now. True skill. From the very beginning of the game, I had serious questions about the true skill system and how easily many hosts abuse it. Moreover, as a beginner player, I remember how you were treated when you have a black rating and literally being kicked from all the hosts, and even those who host All Welcome Games can see it as a reasonable decision. He's talking about people who host All Welcome Games and then kick people, which is dumb. Obviously it's dumb, but yeah, okay. Of course, now I have completely learned the system, but I want to say that it is very difficult for new players to understand it, and in addition, simply writing on the forums what true skill is will not be enough, since probably not everyone uses it, he means the forum. Therefore, I plan to use various methods to create a comfortable environment where new players can more easily integrate into the system. I also plan to create a list of preferred maps for players with slow CPU to avoid further conflict. Okay, what are the various methods that you will use to create a comfortable environment for new players? It's just like, therefore, I plan to use various methods. Methods to be determined, or where are they? What are the questions you have about the true skill system? Well, I guess, oh no, he says he knows it. He knows, he has completely learned the system. Okay. And he will use various methods which are not detailed here to make the environment comfortable. Okay. List of preferred maps for players with slow CPU. I guess that's just smaller maps. Don't think you need a list for that, really. I will be planning to write a formula that will prevent generating unfair matches with high-rated players against beginners. Okay, so again, personal commitment to doing something when, again, is there anything stopping him from trying to do that now? Answer, no. Maybe developers would say, no, this formula isn't good, so we're not going to use it. But again, they could do that whether or not he's player counselor. Such games not only do not provide any fun for higher players themselves, but also discouraging for newcomers. To provide an example, the algorithm would work in a way so that an 1800 plus player would never be matched against a 0 rated player. Okay, well, again, I mean, this already belies the fact that he doesn't understand true skill, because there's no such thing as just an 1800 plus player or a 0 rated player, because your rating is has two components. You have the mean and you have the deviation, but basically there's two components. So 1800 plus, like, that actually is not a true skill rating, because the true skill rating has two components to it. Same thing as the 0 rated. So the fact that he says that tells me that maybe he doesn't completely understand the true skill system completely. And I don't know, like, why doesn't he just do this in the first place? And again, what are the methods? What are these methods? Okay, tournaments. I'll provide any assistance I can to TDs in their initiative to run the tournaments. Okay. I'll be planning to create events in the middle level category to cultivate an interesting and competitive atmosphere that would potentially hook less experienced players into the gameplay. Okay, more lower rated tournaments. Okay. I will do my best to prevent any potential conflict and look further to avoid violations regarding tournament code of conduct when the situation requires. As PC, I will make sure the players won't have to wait too long for their avatars. Okay. I don't think people have to wait too long anyway. That's all he says about tournaments. Okay, wait, we also have lots here. So let's go to lots, because that's a tournament as well, and then we'll circle back here. I'll be planning to collaborate with popular streamers to highlight lots for a higher audience. Okay. And in the end, I want to find one specific streamer who will broadcast lots for the linguistics segment. Not sure what linguistics segment is, and do it as an event in the FAF client. Okay, well, you need a developer to make that happen. To reiterate, that will allow to encompass a broader audience. I mean, it would be very cool to have that in the client, but there's no personal I mean, Suzuki is not a developer, so he can't personally put it into the client. All he can do is try and find someone to do that for him. I will do my best to inspect thoroughly the environment around lots, make sure there are no potential issues regarding the event, as well as do everything possible that everything runs smoothly and without logistical complications. I will aim to uphold all the current responsibilities regarding lots that current PC performs. Okay. So I mean, there's really nothing here that's different from what FTX does. There's no discussion about how lots is run, the new system of qualification or anything. So there's not much about lots there. Except he wants to put a stream in the client. I don't know what the linguistic segment means. That's just an ESL problem. What's up, Bladir? So not much about tournaments in general. Just he'll provide assistance to TDs. Nothing about finding funding for tournaments, finding new tournament directors, or anything like that. Very little about tournaments really in general. Players. To ensure that players remain in FAF and are satisfied with their experience, I will aim to combat toxicity in the FAF community. Now this seems like a moderation issue immediately, since I see it as something that hasn't been properly addressed before. So yeah, it seems like a moderation issue. I will address forum topics accordingly, surveil FAF activities in general, and intervene if necessary. I don't know if, does that just mean respond on the forums, I guess? I suppose. I plan on actively reviewing replays, working to gather any valuable data to see any issues the players might have regarding the balance changes. Okay, again, personally reviewing replays, work to gather any valuable data. Super vague. What's up, Werner? Yeah, we will cover Bloodir's application. I think it's one of the stronger ones. Yeah, so again, see any issues players might have regarding balance changes. Okay, I mean, actively reviewing replays to see issues players might have regarding balance. I mean, if you're reviewing the replays, you're going to see your own issues, I guess, not players. So that's kind of strange, but I will try hard to represent players' voice when it comes to opinion about balance. Okay, so now he wants his hands in the balance thing as well. Fair enough. I mean, yeah, represent players' opinions on balance. That's, I mean, yeah, you should do that. Fine. There's no method of actually gathering info about what people think about balance, though. And there's nothing actually about combating toxicity. So there's saying things, but there's no methods. Once again, there's a lot of I will do this. It's like, well, how do you do that? That's what's actually relevant, is how you will do something, not whether you want it to happen. And there's no methods to do anything here, once again. Okay. Developers. Quite a long time has passed since the moment when the Galactic War system was removed. Okay, invoking Galactic War. That's interesting. And many things have changed, and many people interested in Galactic War have left the FAF project altogether. Therefore, I plan to arrange a series of polls in order to understand at all whether the players need a project of Galactic War or not, and if possible, reallocate development resources in a more necessary direction. Okay. So, if you don't know, which you might not, there are people working on Galactic War. Askaholic is working on Galactic War. Galactic War is basically a meta game. It's a game where you players fight for control of planets. And it used to be a thing on FAF many years ago for a short period of time. And basically you fight other players and take control of planets, and it's a galactic war between the 4 factions. Right. So that's what galactic war is. And people are working on it. Askaholic is working on it. Brutus has done some work on it as well. So it's ongoing. And what Suzuki is saying here is, I'm going to poll people and see if anyone actually wants galactic war. And then, this is the kicker. This is the kicker here. If possible, reallocate development resources in a more necessary direction. Okay, so you can't... There are no development resources that you as player counselor can reallocate, okay? That's like, there are people who give their time to work on things on FAF. You do not control those people in any way. And that's not a good thing or a bad thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing because it's like, well, I really wish somebody would do this thing, it would be great. But nobody's interested, so whatever. But you don't control these people in any way. You don't pay them. You cannot. There are no development resources to reallocate. There are people, and they do what they want to do. Okay? Now maybe you could get a poll and you could get 10,000 players to say we don't want galactic war, and 0 people to say they do, and then maybe the developer will be like, wow, okay, wow, yeah, I guess I won't do it then. But that's not going to happen. It doesn't, like, this statement is so, it worries me when people think like that. There's a lot of wishful thinking in this post, this whole application, a lot of wishful thinking. And a lot of misunderstanding what's going on. So that's like massive red flag when people say things like that to me. That's a massive red flag. Since I'm very interested in the division system, I will therefore do my best to help the developers in any way I can. So that's basically, FTX has been working on the division system forever. Suzuki obviously has not, and he's like, yeah, I'll help. Obviously, he's not going to have the same understanding of the division system as FTX does. So, will he be able to help as much as FTX will? I mean, not really. No. I don't think there's not really possible to expect that, or reasonable to expect that he'll help more than FTX would. I will be planning on watching replays of the Matchmaker games. Okay, so more personal spending time watching replays. And personally use Matchmaker search system to detect any technical issues. Okay, he's going to test Matchmaker personally. Cool. I should be able to provide any assistance to developers that is potentially required from PC at a moment's notice during prime time. Okay. Okay. FAF promotions, as I mentioned earlier, I plan to get access to different resources with the presence of the target audience. Get access to different resources. Once again, we have a promotions counselor. Plan to get access to different resources. This, I think, means access to different social media accounts. Is what I expect. What's up, Scoot? Also, I will try to reach out to different media and potentially hook them to FAF to a higher extent. As a small example, I will be searching and providing individually unique replays that other casters didn't review in their video if that suits them. So once again, I personally will go and watch even more replays. He's committed to watching a lot of replays now for analysis, for promotions, for providing replays to casters, for tech support, for balance. So I have been hypothesizing for a long time about possible methods of attracting contributors and media to the project. So with motivation as a PC, I'll plan to implement them so that more players interested in the RTS genre would be more aware will be aware of the features of the Supreme Commander and FAF project. Well, what are they? What are the methods? There's, again, every time he mentions methods, he just says that he has methods and doesn't explain any of them. He hasn't given us anything. Once again, been hypothesizing, and I'm going to do those things that I was hypothesizing about. Okay, well, let us in on the secret maybe. How are you going to attract contributors and media? This is Suzuji's application. And we're at the end here. Conclusion. Given that at some point the FAF will become an association, the association already exists. Separate topic though. Players need to become more open and voice their opinions for the greater good, instead of bowing their heads and succumb. I sincerely wish the FAF community to become more friendly to further avoid conflicts and make informed decisions together. Well, okay. Fair enough. I will stand for make FAF community more open and friendly. Make FAF more democratic. He didn't explain that at all. I don't like what part is more democratic. That was never expressed in the whole application except for now. And again, it's just said. There's nothing there. Communicate with as many FAF players as possible to gather, represent, promote. Yeah, this is all stuff that was done. Organize a schedule. He didn't explain anything about that actually. Organize tournament directors. He said he would help tournament directors who want to run tournaments. He didn't say he'd organize them. Gather feedback. Okay. No explanation of how you would gather feedback. Present and represent. Sure. And then the pledge, 4 hours a week, 2 hours a week for a voice call or whatever. 2 hours every other week, sorry. Okay, now we have... So, not exactly... I don't like this application at all. I don't think it was good at all. It's just a lot of wishful statements. Say I have methods that I don't want to express to you, but I have them in my head. And also then putting his finger into promotions a lot. Also into moderation with no explanation. And I don't know. Just a lot of, not much, a lot of things said, but no course of action expressed for those intentions. So, this is Francis, this is Feather. We're not going to read this because it's Feather. It's a joke that this post is still in the thread because this is a player... This is an alt account of a player who's permabanned, and they have posted an application for player counselor, and it's still in the thread, and we're not going to read it obviously, but it's outrageous that it's not removed or deleted. Yeah, so cool. This post by Blackheart basically said, isn't it a bit ridiculous to allow Feather to troll the player counselor thread? And this was deleted. Reminder, all posts will be deleted except application. This is not an application. This is also not an application. But anyway, that's just funny. Okay, Morax is here. Morax was a map and mod counselor. Not that long ago. I can't remember exactly when the election was or whatever, but yes. Anyway, here's Morax's application. So let's see. Me not reading Feather's app might be some of the democratic things Suzuki is talking about. Well, if Suzuki wants to talk about something, he should really express it a bit better so that, if he explained himself, we wouldn't have to read his mind like we're attempting to do right now. Once again, Morix here on the Council of Sentence Campaign Trail. I want to start by stating what I think the player counselor should be in a few simple statements before I get on to key duties, responsibilities, plans. That's a good idea. Plans for current or future issues to address. I'm going to read the follow-up comments. What follow-up comments? Some of these? Oh god, they've started posting, have they? They've started the... oh no. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm going to read all of that. But maybe we will. I was just trolling you. Okay, yeah. You're going to apply, Scoot? Okay. You're not working 12 to 14 hour days anymore? Hopefully. Make Francis feather again. No need. What is the player counselor? The player counselor should be the voice of the community who takes every minute they work in the position to express the desires and what makes people in the community happiest. Okay. This person should uphold the task of taking all the complex language and technicalities such as true skill rating and explain it in layman's terms to those who are interested. A lot of stuff about explaining true skill in these applications. All the while providing an optional media that demonstrates all the details for those interested. It should be a person who not only works on the community but as well actively plays with the community to better experience the choices made. I don't know what Ariko's posts were. I actually don't. Maybe I could see them. I think, well, no, I don't think I'm a mod in this forum anyway. Alex is going to apply and change everything to MapGen. Cool. Wants lots streams in different languages. Okay. My previous experience is MM Council and how it applies for Player Counselor. Nearly 2 years map and mod counselor. Spent the majority of time helping people and creating a learning tool. Best achievements in his opinion were creating a series of documents that list of all references and tutorials possible. Basically collating a lot of different community information on map making and mod making and putting it all together in places where they can be found easily. And here they are. Different resources. We're not going to open those obviously because we're not interested in making maps and mods right now. If you look at mapping resources channel and improved by bias, he's the current map and mod counselor. And it's not an application for maps and mods council, but this style is one example of how I would like to apply my didactic and helpful nature to the player council. There is a lot of need, in my opinion, for things like game strategy, new player tutorials, and other how to do this in the community, which I believe is a bit lacking. I think that's fair. And the unified Discord is a wonderful step in the right direction. That there's more detail and direction needed there. So, okay. Basically, Marx is saying, I've done things in the past, so you can believe me when I say I will do things now, which is very reasonable and also much needed. Because a lot of people will say they can do things in if they have never done things, then how can you believe them? Alright. Tournament Legend of the Stars. Events and viewership. Pinnacle of the community. Encouraging plenty of discussion, fun of the dramas that unfolds. Began running WWPC, which is an old tournament, which was quite a lot of fun. And a lot of top players came from WWPC. I mean, that's true. A lot of players did play in WWPC that later became very good, like me, your Nexus, Torin, Blast Chilled, other players as well. As exciting as top player events are, I want to take a step back and work on some other types of events as well, making sure to note that these will be additional to current tournaments that are critical to other features of the game, TMM, learning, Lower player stuff, balance, anything extraordinary like the map gen. I mean, we've had map gen show matches and things. Those of you who know me well know I've put a lot of time, effort, and money into this. He's donated to Legend of the Stars, 2v2 Masters Cup, 3v3 Trident of Power, and Blitz events. My loyalty to those who spend the most time becoming the best of the best is true and will always stay, yet I just feel like the player council need to celebrate all aspects of levels. So basically he wants more tournaments for players who aren't at the very top, is what he's saying mostly there. And also he wants to show off certain features like TMM, learning the game at lower levels, and map generator. So, okay. This tourney in particular, Legend of the Stars, this tourney in particular is the year-end celebration of FAF. Needs to constantly be made better and better. Yep. Uphold the kindness and generosity of blind donors like Legend, who gives and allows the community to run it in the way they see fit. With his permission, others that play and donate would like to propose a new concept for this event, a majors and a minors that run in parallel. Okay. At the beginning, these events were loaded with players of all levels, and slowly the top players picked up seeds through a series of qualifiers. Most of the time, people who play these who are not at the top pretty much pray that they're matched against someone of equal level, even with the seeding introduced by Bloodera years ago. Rather than do this, I think similar to sports and other leagues, that a major and minor... Do not quote me on this. Over 1900 and under 1900 be implemented. The money, FAF Live, and everything will mainly focus on over 1900, of course. However, those who feel it interesting to see up-and-coming stars could be free to do so. I think this will make Legend of the Stars true to its name rather than Legend of the Star. Okay. Well, kind of weird because Legend of the Stars is literally the guy's name who has been donating to that tournament multiple times. So, you know, but I don't really get this last part. But basically he wants an under 1900, he wants a lower level tournament as part of Legend of the Stars. Now that doesn't seem reasonable to me. Players under 1900 are not necessarily up and coming players. Generally they are actually not up and coming players. Most of them are players who've been around for a long time, and that's just the level they're at. So I don't know. And also he says the money, FAF Live, and everything will mainly focus on over 1900. I mean, obviously to some degree it's going to under 1900, but again, I mean, he says don't quote me, but ultimately whatever the cutoff is, and there has to be a cutoff of rating. I mean, there's multiple issues here. First, you have to pick a point where the rating is cut off, right? Now, immediately, if you have a rating cutoff and you have prize money, rating manipulation is an issue instantly. And it always has been on FAF. So, if I'm 2000, let's say it's 1900. Now, it could be 1800, it could be 2K, it could be 1750, it could be 1850, whatever it is. Hey, I am 100 points above the cutoff. If I lose 100 points, then I can get into this tournament and I could potentially win prize money. I'm not going to place highly enough in that proper tournament, the over whatever tournament, to win. So this is always the issue with rating cutoff, and also taking money away from the real tournament to support a lower level tournament. Why do that, really? I mean, it seems like it's just something Morax wants. I haven't seen other people express the want for this specifically. Also, I would say if you want that kind of tournament, it should be hosted separately. It shouldn't be included in the Legend of the Stars, honestly. But that's just my opinion. The format otherwise is pretty good as is. Realize this concept is and will be a bit controversial. Okay. Just think it would be great for up and coming players. Once again, I mean, sure, but I don't think it really up and coming players are necessarily the ones who are under a certain rating. We want to watch the best players. That's a fact. That's what people want to watch. If you have a show match between Nexus and Tagada, or Blackheart and Petrick, they're going to get more than people below them in skill. So that's just the reality. I am an up-and-coming, but of course you are, Bully. Lower-rated tournaments don't need prize money. They just need to be hosted and not too memey. Exactly. Yeah. So, okay. If it becomes obvious people do not like this idea, we can scrap it and try other stuff. Sure. Ladder and team matchmaker. It's a tough area. Subjectivity is very high. Map pools are made with great effort and current, and the one thing I would change is this. Limit the number of new maps to 1 or 2. Have a community feedback thread for new maps to see if people like it beforehand. Very difficult. I mean, getting community feedback on a new map is, you know, it's a new map. What quality of feedback can you get from a new map from the community? It's going to be limited in my opinion. No rating resets ever again. Global rate. Okay, well, there's some sort of reset on 2v2 team matchmaker rating. I honestly don't know enough about that, but it has its drawbacks. Definitely has had its drawbacks. Openness, transparency with map ratings rather than discuss the actions and reasoning for why what maps go into the pool behind closed doors. Okay. Basically, he wants all the map ratings to be public that people have made. I don't think it's really necessary. But, I mean, you know, people invoke openness and transparency. It's like, well, I don't think words like this are necessarily reasons in and of themselves to do things. They have to be explained. But, I mean, it's not a big issue for me. Also, I'm sure map makers will be quite butthurt if they see some bad ratings. And really, you should just ask to be on the matchmaker team, I guess. You know? Do the Blizzard way for new maps. SC2 TL map contest style intro for new maps would be good. I'm not sure what that is. No more numerical based polling. The community size and motivation to play ladder is really small, for instance, and could likely be personally interviewed with feedback posted to a thread. This does not need to be complicated, and short of dysfunctional maps, it should be easy to discuss matters. I suspect it will have some rules and discussion points like so this is saying we should personally interview, or well, it's a commitment, I guess, that he will personally interview ladder players on their preferences and their ideas about ladder. So, okay. I mean, that's one way to do it, but okay. It's obviously a selection bias towards people who are already playing ladder would be my first idea there, but sure. Alright, 1 sec. Back in 1 sec. Okay. TMM is really critical to help finalize the return of Galactic War. Started out as a stepping stone as it requires matchmaking much like TMM does, so it becomes reality. Thanks in hand to interest by the developers and a push by the player council. My advantages to the handling of map pools. I know how to make and edit maps, so outsourcing checking them will not be necessary but appreciated. That's an advantage. I play ladder frequently and get to experience the maps firsthand. That's also an advantage over FTX, I gotta say. I mean, you know, not like life-changing advantages, but those are advantages that Morix has for sure. Training of players and resources. The training program in FAF for players interested in learning to improve their skills is rather poor in current. After interviewing the trainers, it appears very little activity is being kept up on this task. I want to make this a big deal and find a way to engage with new or desiring players to get it going. Much like the mapping, modding, unit modeling resources posted at the beginning of this application, I would like to entertain one for game knowledge. I would approach this by collecting any and all references such as the following. This is going to be some kind of video on Reclaim. Okay. This is what, oh, Speed's video from 6 years ago on Reclaim. 5.5 years ago. Cool. Still a great video. It'll be a bit dated. Yeah, you do see everything about how to perform Reclaim activities listed anywhere. Perhaps I'm wrong, but it was not obvious to me when I went looking. Okay, so this is fair enough. Just basically collate information like he did with maps and mods in terms of training. I mean, suppose he could do this already, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, it's a good idea. I think he's right that there isn't a great central location for a lot of tutorial information. But okay, to show how, I'll make videos myself, and needs to update this. Really blows my mind that in the amount of years FAF has existed, there's not a concrete knowledge base with easy access. This would be one of my primary focuses early on should I get elected. I think oh, your application was deleted. Wait. Oh, I don't see it here. Damn. Yeah, I mean, I think the issue with this is that there was no real developer work put into creating a tutorial section in the client, and that's probably, well, maybe it's kind of chicken and egg thing. It's like people haven't collated all the information in a great way, and also there's never been real effort put into developing a tutorial section in the client either, so there's some work done, but you know, that's it. Okay, collaboration with other councils. Balance counselor, tough one. People are always going off on balance, self included, and believe the community often feels left out of decision making on how the game works in terms of balance. Their style changes. For the most part, I want to keep distant and let them do what they do as a team, but make it heard how people perceive them, how people perceive that in a much more constructive manner. How to do this, regular conversations with people in the balance team on up and coming changes and how to best inform the player base. Revive balance testing tourneys, that's cool. Make demo videos if necessary to explain changes, that's cool. A lot of things seem like promo counselor things. This is a theme that I'm seeing throughout the player counselor applications and even what the player counselor does right now. There's a lot of things that look like they should be promo counselor tasks and responsibilities, and they aren't. I think for the most part the balance updates are very far and few between, so this should be relatively easy to coordinate and spend time on the tasks listed. That's nice that he's actually recognizing how much time things will take and realizing that, well, I can actually commit to doing things like this because balance does not change very often. If it did change very often, this would be very time consuming. Patrick, what do you think of this? Patrick is a balance counselor. Maybe if the balance testing tourney shows some real good data, we can make it a requirement to ensure it works outside of internal testing. I guess make the balance testing thing a requirement. Balance test tourney a requirement? I'm not sure. Alright, see you, Scoot. Sorry I missed your application. I wish I had seen it now. Promotion counselor, obviously in current the player counselor and promotion work on quite a bit of overlap. For me, the fan live should have been the primary duty of the promo council and player counselor to support that. I'm unsure of the total reasoning for this, but of course would be happy to help develop promotional content and share information of interest or vice versa what others find useful. Yeah. Sure. What the game needs isn't a tutorial but some kind of advice mod where players get advice. For example, pop-up where the player gets the advice to upgrade a mechs or build power. Yeah, that might be good in like the campaign or some kind of map. Who's promo counselor at 9-2? Is promo counselor. Now, he's had some other names, but that's what he goes by now. Where were we? Development. This is, of course, a major responsibility of player counselor. Not everyone understands or has the time to understand the complexity and operations within the development channels, and should be given as easy to understand as possible reasoning for how they operate. So basically explain development to the players. For example, ladder and TMM pools show a sheet of brackets where a certain rating must be met in order to see those maps. It was discovered recently that it's not really the rating, but instead the mu, which is often considered okay. Fair enough. Have I played the campaigns? Yeah, I have. I haven't played the vanilla campaign. Played Forged Alliance campaigns though. Moderation counselor, in an effort to keep moderation in the community sound, I will without doubt support Gives ruling and decision making. I believe the player counselor should interfere with these decisions at a minimal amount, but sometimes it becomes necessary to help facilitate issues. Okay. Reasonable. I mean, should interfere with these decisions at a minimal amount is a weird way of phrasing it, but I kind of get what he means. Yeah. I played them. No, I played them offline. Like before I played FAF, I played the campaigns with a terrible computer at like -5 most of the time. So took a while. It wasn't very good. Administrative game code map modifications. I turned the file tree into one category because I don't have much to say about these other than the M&M Council. Believe the M&M Council is working fine as I've seen what Bias has done after my departure. Would not change much. Want the normal Python client back? Well, you're going to need Python devs then. And some infaf rewards to help new ones getting ladder, not throwing zeros at 1100 ladder rating players. Yeah, well, you know, you get an 1100 in like the first 1 or maybe 2 games, and then after that you don't. Maybe 3 games at most. I mean, God forbid you win one of them, then you'll get a few more. There's one thing I must admit, I'm in much less of a state where I can play the game or work on the community as much as some other people. Saddens me to admit this, but I think if I play a little less and boost my commitment, it will be sufficient. No one is paid in the community for what they do. Like, I lose money because of my donations, so the time given is tough. I would estimate I play anywhere from 12 to 15 hours a week, so it would be pretty easy to give that up a bit, okay? That said, I really want to be more whole-encompassing and take on a more community-driven approach. I want to be the guy Alex wrote about in the final post of this thread. Okay, well, we've gone back in time here, forward or something, I don't know. There's been an edit, I guess. I spent a lot more time than recent in researching my posts and see a lot of the concerns given by Petrick here as pertinent to today. I do not agree with everything stated, but he has some great points. The competitive scene is important. I think this is some very old post, but I'm not sure exactly what he's referring to here. Do not agree with everything stated, but the competitive scene is important and will not be forgotten, but I think it's gotten a little bit too much attention over other matters recently. Okay, well, that's controversial. I want to be the guy that helps everyone be heard and make faff about fun again. Seems we may have lost a bit of that. Pledge wholeheartedly to be the best, very best I can. Should I get enough votes to be the next player counselor for Forge Lines Forever community? Okay, cool. So that was a much better proposal than Suzuki's, which is unsurprising given that Morax has actually been involved in the community and doing stuff as Map and Mods counselor. He has a good idea of what is possible, what's necessary. He also knows he knows what FTX is doing to a greater degree than what Suzuki knows, I guess, as well, by the sounds of it. So yeah, I guess we continue, guys, because there's some posts. Rico's posts are deleted. Not sure what was in those, sadly. So let's see. Askaholic, who is a server dev, and he's worked a lot on the Python. He's been the main server developer. Brutus is, the main dude, the main dev on FAF. A lot of his time is taken up by admin stuff, maintaining various services, maintaining the server and stuff. Askaholic does a lot of server development, has done for a while now, and here's what he has to say. One thing I want to say is that I think the candidates are severely overestimating the influence that the PC has over development. This is what we said earlier. The dev team are all volunteers. We will work on the things that are fun, interesting to us. And some PC coming in and telling people they need to rewrite XYZ system because I said so, it's simply not going to happen. The pros need to do is pick one person who speaks for the pros. I don't really think the pros have any difficulty being heard in the community, actually. I think the pros are fine, to be honest. Also, FAF doesn't have any pros. That's another thing. The PC may request actually suggest certain features from time to time, as may anyone. There's no guarantee that will be fulfilled. That's obviously critical to various things mentioned, like I'm going to bring back a veto system, I'm going to bring 200 maps in the ladder pool. I mean, that's more doable. I'm going to stop development on Galactic War and reallocate development resources. I mean, no, that's not reasonable at all. It's not realistic. Okay, Jip. Jip is what is Jip? He's a map maker. I'm not sure what else Jip is involved in, but he's certainly involved in the map and mod community pretty heavily, I guess. I think he's made tutorials for map making. I'm not sure exactly, but he's done a lot. He's done plenty of stuff. So here we go. Majority of he's written quite a lot. The majority of gamers that play a game do not know what they want with the game. Suggestions on balance, for example, that make sense in some contexts can easily rip apart the balance in 10 other contexts. Just check the balance forums. Before the new rules got in place. How do I fund Galactic War? I don't think you can fund Galactic War. I don't think it needs funding, really. I know Askaholic is the main guy working on Galactic War. Maybe you can send him $5 for a coffee or something. I don't think you can really fund the development of Galactic War. But I don't know really. I haven't even heard of anything like that. So, but you could ask Askaholic or about what you could do to help, or I don't know, something like that. I'm not sure exactly, but I don't think funding is really what they need. More developers is what they need. Pick me to speak for the newbies. Okay, the suggestion. Okay, yeah. Just check the balance forums before the new rules got in place. Same idea, different topic. Maps that one person thinks is amazing can be terrible in the mind of another. Just check this post for a good example. This is remove Emerald Crater. Everyone hates it, and I agree with them. No, but I like it. Well, I like it for these reasons. Actually, I like it. Emerald is an amazing map. So yeah, there you go. I love it. I hate it. I love it. I hate it. Remove it. Keep it. So, suggestion of Suzuki to become this crowd opinion-based machine with regard to the matchmaker, or in general, make it more democratic, is not something that I'd want to see happening. You're never going to please everyone. Have a vision on what you think should be ladder maps and let us vote on that. Reasonable. There are some differences between the two. Notice that he has already reduced the number of applications to 2. Parentheses 4 question mark. Applications that I'd like to mention. So FTX, it is down to earth and concrete. The ideas to combat what he thinks is going wrong are clear. Suzuki, a lot of I will and will do everything in my power. Words, if I've learned anything from the past 3 months of being my own company, are not worth anything unless they are unambiguously on paper. Your post is full of wishes, of ideas, but with a lot of them no concrete and no unambiguous idea on how to solve it. Therefore, the majority of your application is essentially empty. So this is... We agree with Jip here. I agree with Jip here. I think we said as much in far more words than he did, but we basically say the same thing. A lot of I will do this, I will do that, etc., etc. And it doesn't... then no methods. Francis, I'm not 100% sure if you're the one Blackheart called Feather, but apparently you're banned? It feels like that if you wanted to change things, you should have adhered to them, become PC, and then change them. Not get banned and then try to become PC. So, Jip thinks that he's not 100% sure, but he seems pretty close to 100% sure. You can pledge money on GitHub issues. You can actually, yes. I actually did that at one point. I forgot about that, so... Maybe after this we'll open the FAF GitHub and maybe we can find some Galactic War issues that you can say, oh, here, I'll give you $5 when this is completed or whatever. Anyway, let's see. Morax, it is down to earth and concrete, similar to FTX but with a different perspective. In my opinion, the only 2 real applications are those of FTX Morax. I don't play matchmaking or the game itself enough to understand half of what all the applications consider a problem at the moment. As a mapper, however, I think the PC, being the person that is ultimately responsible for adding maps to matchmaking, should have a clear opinion on what he or she thinks makes a ladder map good. A few examples: players should have clear expansions, clear, safe, expandable, rateable, contested mexes. Players should have between A and B extractors of category. Map should or should just different opinions on what a ladder map should be. It all sounds like a bunch of immature drama. I mean, not really. The reason for this is simple. I'm guessing as a map maker, and I completely rely on the expertise of tournament players to help me out. That was not the correct. I'm guessing as a map maker, and I completely rely on the expertise of tournament players to help me out. I'd like to have an objective line to follow when thinking in terms of competitive maps, a line that should not be based on what people think in general is right, but on what the PC thinks is right for the pools for the next year, and this is something that people can vote on. And I'd like to see a list of common things that can go wrong when you consider a map for ladders. So he's concerned with map making. He is a map maker, so he's concerned with creating good ladder maps and things. Common annoyances that I would like to see that grow somehow, so that map makers in the future can at least look at the future list and make a conscious decision as to whether they support mechanic X or Y, location B or A. And this should be composed by the PC. So basically create some thesis by which I can create maps that will be put on ladder, and I can reasonably help me create ladder maps, basically, is what he's saying in this part. Please, so we can have new ladder maps. Okay. Esperanto has arrived. FTX has proved to be quite good and normal. Some moments do not suit me, but in general the usual choice. I'm also see a good projects like League tourneys, show a ways sponsoring real interesting and quality games, and upgrading high quality scene instead of noobs games like Gaps, Astro, and any under 1800 low quality games. Francis for me is on stability person. Suzuki is most perspective person I should choose, same as FTX. I think that's positive. Morex, I know he's a good man and sponsored some tourneys a lot of times, but I also know some bad things, like he doesn't paid next to some bloodier prizes for some of their tourneys as I listen. So I would not choose him because person is placing self before real things. Not sure. I'm not sure if this is true, but it might be. But I need some. I need some confirmation on that, actually. Does anyone know how big a deal Suzuki is on Russian Discord? Yeah. Yeah, I want the links. I remember something vaguely about it. Bloodier, I have no idea. Is he going to post his candidate right there? But my position I write at his new post. My opinion... Oh, you talk about it. Okay. My opinion will be changed until elections. Cool. So if there's persons like me still doesn't know who better to choose, you may like my post and maybe some discuss with me. I will also add at this post soon something new. Cool. Oh yeah, let's just upvote this. Wait, did we upvote? Yeah, there you go. Morex. About matchmaking, map pools, more about matchmaking and stuff. Having a small team of diverse players like we have now who discuss and choose the map pool is a good solution. PC having a vision of what's right for map for ladder is bad. Like, however, that the team shares the reasoning and discussion more with the player base as Morex offered. Polls addressed to the entire player base can be a reasonable option. For the team to have more data on what people want if they participate enough. I'm afraid the idea number 4 of Morex, interviewing the player to have their opinion, will not be very practical for balancing the map pool. Okay. For instance, Suzuki application feel very troll to me. I've been around for a year and I've rarely seen any of them engaging discussions with the players. Can someone be player counselor if he has no interest in talking with other players? Oh no, I actually can't see links. You'd have to send them on Discord or something. What's up, Bias? Yes, welcome. We've already gone through the applications, except for Blood Ears, which is probably the best one, but now we're looking at some of these responses. We've done polls for Matchmaker pools in the past. Problem is that you very quickly get into voter fatigue. I ran these polls for about 8 months or so. The first few had over 100 participants, and by the end he was getting about 15. Okay, I'll read your post later. Yeah, so I guess here he could just, you know, space out the polls a bit more, maybe. Or not continually poll the same maps, or I'm not sure exactly, but maybe there's ways around that. They probably could. I think the fatigue might be gone by now. Could probably bring them back. When you add in the time of setting them up, importing the data into some... Just wasn't worth it to get 15 participants, I guess. And he said that generally the Matchmaker team and the popular opinion weren't that far off, except for 2020s generally being disliked by players. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Lower ranked players don't like large maps. And there's more low ranked than high ranked. Who picks the candidates? Well, the candidates apply, and then the council will remove unsuitable candidates for reasons. For reasons. Suzuki shouldn't be trusted. I see. I'd say the only way to make polling viable, both to prevent PC, is to condense it to 2 or 3 maps and ask people to simply rate those maps. Yeah, that's a good idea. These got deleted. No idea why. No idea what those were. And now we're gonna have. Do we want to go through all of FTX's response to Mucho Texto? Maybe we'll do it after. Maybe we'll Rico post for about Feather. You could make a tournament, the winner gets picked. Well, Suzuki would have a good chance then. We'll read FTX's response after, but I want to see the stuff with Morax. How much more is there? Okay, Bias is making some posts as well. Oh yeah, Bloodeer's application. Let's see Bloodeer's application. So this is a great one. Hello, I'm a long-term subcom player having started in January 2013. With some breaks in between. I started by playing only team games, many of them in such glorious maps such as the original Gap of Rohan and Sentin. Eventually my interest shifted and I became primarily a 1v1 player. You could say that I've been through all the phases of FAFdom, from a beginner team game player to number 1 ladder. As such, I've developed an understanding and appreciation for a variety of different styles of enjoying the game, and am uniquely positioned to represent the player base. This is my application for the 2021 Player Counselor PC race. If you read carefully, you might not only learn something about me, but also about the other candidates. In the spirit of keeping the post short enough for most faffers to not TLDR through, I have omitted some important responsibilities for the PC, such as training new players, beta testing, providing good replays to casters, determining the fairest possible allocation of avatars, resetting ratings, writing a brand new matchmaking algorithm, and studying the nature of FAF. So, good on him for omitting all those. I will also try hard to represent the player's voice when it comes to opinion about the balance. If you're interested and want to read more, other applicants have gone into much more detail about how these responsibilities relate to the PC role. Tournaments. Tournaments have historically been one of the main responsibilities of the PC. Previously, we have seen a focus on giving the community big, high-level tournaments that the people who represent the PC strive to have the skill to participate in. In the current PC race, we've seen a more grounded approach, as candidates have proposed tournament scenes around the 1671 ladder rating range. While the spirit of hosting more mid-tier tournaments is wonderful, I don't see why we'd stop around that specific rating range. As PC, I will be promoting tournaments for average Joes that are able to reach most people. While there will still be some beginner players that may not be able to participate, high-rating players have historically not had too much trouble getting in. Overall, we'll have a tournament scene that reaches as many players as possible. I will also take a closer look at the sometimes contentious relationship between tournament directors and players. Specifically, I will assure that all prize money is given out and that all players are treated fairly regardless of their relationship with TDs. Social media. As the PC, I will have direct responsibility over many things, including promotions. Social media has always been underutilized in FAF promotion. I think we are missing a great opportunity. I will be looking to bolster our social media presence. with the addition of the official FAF TikTok channel. This will increase traction with especially the younger audience. I will look to increase the FAF Live leadership viewership to about 2,500 to 3,500 concurrent viewers for this year's lots. I will also establish the Russian, German, and Finnish language FAF Live streams for the event. Moderation. Moderation is a subject that is near and dear to my heart, as all of you surely know. I have a bit of a troubled past. It is imperative that each PC applicant discloses the extent of their respective criminal backgrounds. I was temporarily muted in 2013 by our rightful leader, Z Pilot. I have been repeatedly accused of smurfing. My original account was permabanned, but everyone knows who's behind the wheel. And there have even been rumors of rating manipulation on DualGap. I know my record is not quite as impressive as the other applicants, but I hope to still qualify. In the "Why would you have left FAF" thread, we saw just how many people feel uncomfortable with the amount of toxicity in the community. Clearly, the current arrangement is not working. I pledge to take the weight off moderators' shoulders and fire the entire moderator team. Instead, I will be surveying FAF activities like a hawk over Aeolus and DualGap games. I love the title of this thread, by the way. I don't know if you've seen it. The "Why would you have left FAF" thread. That is true. I love that. Development. Recently, we have seen a great boom in FAF developers are in risk of having exhausted all meaningful work. As PC, I will have a tremendous responsibility to make sure all of my underlings have excellent work opportunities. I will make sure such opportunities are provided in the continued development of the Python client. A particular issue that has haunted our community, and most players have undoubtedly suffered from, is cancer. It comes in many forms: Astro, DualGap, Phantom X, the list goes on. I will divert some of our development resources to launch a cancer research initiative. I'm confident that with my guidance, we will surely crack this persistent group of diseases. Talks with major players in the pharmaceutical industry have already commenced. We will, of course, limit the supply of our cancer cure in order to maximize profits, as is customary in the industry, which will be promptly pumped into mid-tier subcom tournaments. Unfortunately, many of our patients, such as Astro players, may not be able to afford the treatment, but this way we will finally be able to afford tournaments for players around the 1671 ladder rating range. FAF Association. The birth of FAF Association will be a threat to the current balance of power in the Council of Settings. I will prioritize cementing the lawful position of the PC as the ruler of FAF by any means necessary. If it comes down to it, together with my supporters, we will perform a storming of the FAF Association. FAF will officially go back to being just a monarchy, ruled by the rightful heir of Zep. He ruled firmly but fairly, and was gone too soon. Together we will do what is right by his memory. In the new order, council seats will be determined by trial by combat performed by the applicants. Once the application period ends, we will hold a series of show matches, watch live on FAF Live, between the applicants. Applicants may choose a champion to fight in their stead. The arrangement will ensure the strength and stability of the FAF organization. Thank you for reading and voting. I'm looking forward to my 80-hour work weeks. Just to check that you could hear me properly, I have to ask. Is it loud over there? I would like to thank my right-hand man Swankle for his help in writing this application. I would also like to thank my left-hand man Archdemon for reviewing an earlier version of this application. Thirdly, I would like to thank my third-hand man Tex for existing. Therefore, the application has been moderator approved. So back off. Blastchill says, I would also like to apply for the position of Chief Cancer Researcher in your program, Mr. Bloodier. My experience in regard to cancer-inducing game modes such as Phantom X and DualGap are second to none. I hope to hear from your Secretary Swackle soon. Regards, Mr. Blastchill, PhD. And Roy tells him to apply in the correct thread, which is hilarious. And let's Brutus. All hail Brutus. I would have expected a little tougher crackdown. Maybe just ban every person in Aeolus who has the impudence to molest us with his unimportant matters. I'm all for firing Moderators, of course. With the saved money, we can buy more subscribers to our social media channels. Addition of the FAF TikTok channel. Marvelous. We can finally make the dancing ACUs an official thing after some conspiratorial elements tried to damage its reputation. In the new order, council seats will be determined by trial by combat. I demand we follow the same rules as in Game of Thrones so I can send somebody else to die. I mean, win on my behalf. I will look forward to the mid-round feet picture showcase. Restart rating more tournaments less than 1800, where people build Janices for 50 minutes or end with all-in sniping each other. The big promise of 2,000 to 3,000 online on FAF Live and some other moments push me away. I don't know if I should vote here, says Esperanza. Oh, God. Oh, he's got a good... I like his signature as well. Don't believe BH, he is lying. Well spelled perfectly. Well, I think that was a good application. Good application there. I like how he has so many viewers just looking at the forums. This is ridiculous. This is the same number of viewers I have playing ladder. These people's vote is the same value as yours. I know. Right, let's see. Where do we end? We have more. Yeah, let's go with the mucho texto. Better than Suzuki's apps, to be honest. Unironically. Okay. Okay, so Suzuki says about the Matchmaker. I plan to dedicate a Discord section to discuss and debate matchmaking map pools so I can form a quick method of engaging with the community and get feedback from players of all levels. Okay, this makes little sense as all it will result in is an additional barrier of entry for people to talk about anything related to matchmaker pools. That's why I reversed the idea and instead moved everything into the single centralized FAF Discord server. You just end up talking to and getting maps from the same couple of people that had interest in joining a tertiary server. What is gained by directing players to one Discord? He said a Discord section, so I guess he means in the main Discord. So I don't know why you think he means you should go to a different server, because he says a Discord section, so that seems like within the same server. I will be surveying active ladder players and delivering the information I've gathered to map creators, which in some cases will allow them to build a map around gameplay rather than aesthetics. I will encourage new players to use Matchmaker more often and will do everything in my power to improve the experience they get from the game. It's already done for mappers. Yeah, I know that already exists, FTX. But maybe he doesn't. But yes, I know it exists. Okay. So, first off, it's already done for mappers. Maps get put in review and are criticized and given adjustments to improve gameplay aesthetics and variance. Failure to accommodate criticism results in the map not being put in. How do you encourage the players? How is the experience made better? Reasonable question, because he doesn't explain that. Players across all rating brackets that enjoy tons of 5x5, no 20x20, love 20x20, hate 5x5. General trend where these two groups increase in size as you increase in rating, and it's what the map brackets are currently based on. The only way to make the experience anything more than marginally better from what it is now is by using a choice pool that operates through map vetoes. Okay, I plan to return the veto system with the intention that it does not reach its logical extreme. And here is a link to what? A post from 2018? Is that really what you're linking to? Let me see. A system for how a choice pool with veto has existed since 2018 does not mean the developer manpower to implement the entire different UI that would need to accompany said system exists. Okay. Now with matchmakers that didn't exist in 2018, we would also need to rework how some of these systems work in order to accommodate not only different team sizes, but also the additional factor of some teams being random, some being pre-made. However, I've already planned out the way I can under the hood, mainly a point-based veto system. Okay, I don't know what a point-based veto system is, but okay. But yeah, I guess you're just pointing out that basically he's saying, I'm going to return to a veto system. And you're like, well, the system that we would switch to, the idea has been explained since 2018 and no developer has made it. So like a developer is not going to magically appear and make your shit, I guess, just because you said it in your application. You get points to veto a map. Say you need 2 points to veto a 2v2 map. Alright. 60 people. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Okay, after third deliberation, I will organize matchmaker map sheets based on player preferences. This already exists. Yes, it does. It has existed for a long time now. After making a discussion concerning this topic, I will be bringing a map pool of at least 200 maps. After discussion with you, it seems you just want to make a 200 map pool and either never touch map pools again or very rarely touch them or rotate a few maps out. I do not understand what this is supposed to accomplish. If you want to make a pool where map prep means 0, then make a map gen pool. Adding 180 maps is almost nothing for the average user, a ladder who plays for approximately 4 to 5 hours a month, and will never hit 9, let alone 20 maps, God forbid anything more. Thomas can't even manage to hit all 20 maps in the map pool in a month. I also don't understand what discussion you expect to happen with a 200 map pool. You will be scrapping the absolute pit of the map vault in order to gain 200 maps. It's what I had to do to reach the current number of like 230-ish 1v1 maps I have. Probably 20 to 25% of these were marked as too bad to play anyway, since either the team saw the gameplay as too bad or the general player reaction to seeing these maps were unfavorable. This is true. So yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, I mean, there is no explanation of why 200 maps or what is the purpose. Also, what are you discussing if you already decided that you're going to make 200 maps be the map pool? You know, what's the story there? What's the idea? On a regular basis, I would assist players in the training channel, and whenever possible, I would give personal advice. You're never there as it is. Why would I believe this would change at PC? It's probably the lowest barrier to entry thing to do on this entire list. Totally valid. It's like, I will do this. Well, why aren't you doing it now is the obvious question that needs to be asked if he's not doing it, and I know for a fact that he isn't. So yeah, what? Okay, why not just do it? At the request of players, I'll review their replays, and yeah, I'll do replay analysis as player counselor, because apparently that's part of the role. Again, you don't do it. Why would it change now? Yeah, so same thing. I'll be planning on making tutorials. Yeah, he just says that would be great. Cool, it would. True skill. From the beginning of the game, I had serious questions how easily many hosts abuse it. Then you should understand that it's impossible to create a custom game system where true skill can work without making it extremely and needlessly complicated for the end user. Moreover, as a beginner player, basically what he's saying is true skill is made for a matchmaker system. It's not made for a custom game setup. It's not meant to work in that situation. It's meant to work in a matchmaking setup where you can't control exactly who you're playing against and what the settings are and what the slots are, etc., etc. Moreover, as a beginner player, I remember how you're treated when you have black rating, kicked from games. Okay, this is why we created and planned on expanding matchmakers while also doing auto hosts on map gen maps. This is all true. there is now, I mean, FTX can't like take credit for all of this, but these things have been done. Like, I don't think he had a part in the auto hosting thing at all. Obviously, he's definitely involved a lot in the matchmaking. It's also ideally intended to be helped by the division system, where players feel less fearful and anxious over their performance over the last game or two. Exactly. So basically, you know, you lose a game, you're still in the same division. You win a game, you might still be in the same division. Rather than, oh, I lost 12 points. Oh, I lost 9 points. And this kind of stuff. So that's cool. Again, FTX with ideas to solve problems that Suzuki sees, where Suzuki doesn't seem to have ideas on how to solve them, just says that he will solve things. Yeah, she could just, yeah, that's what I was thinking. He just kind of made that and put it out there. He is a beast. Of course, now I've completely learned the system. But I want to say it's difficult. Yeah, we read all this. You know, it's like, now I know everything. I'm going to explain everything, and I'm going to use various methods to create a comfortable environment. And it's like, what are the methods? And I have a plan to do this, and what's your plan? Is it different? Also plan to create a list of preferred maps. Also not, and he just says it's more the creative counselor domain. So you would be cooperating with bias, okay. Be planning to write a formula that will prevent, yes, this is what Bloodier was talking about when he's like, I will rewrite the matchmaking algorithm as player counselor. You might remember that from his application. That's what he was referring to. And quote from a post, so top level players anyone with Mew over 1600, newbies anyone with less than 10 games. All games with at least one newbie and no top rated player will be matched randomly against each other if no decent game is initially found. Okay, all teams with at least one newbie and no top rated player will be matched randomly against each other. Okay. If there are an odd number of newbie teams, the last newbie team can only match with a non-newbie team that has at least one failed matching attempt. If a team has a top-rated player, that team will not be eligible for random matching at all. So basically, it's kind of what he said. I want to be matched against Jagged in my first line. Well, I don't think it's possible, I'm afraid. What you're upset about is the interpolation part of the matchmaking process. Now we gotta, oh god, true skill. It's so boring to talk about true skill. So, been a massive complaint about across FAF. At the level that true skill puts you up against in your first few games, because the intended bell curve peak is 1500 mu and the current peak is far off that. It's much lower than 1500 mu. This is due to a variety of deflationary aspects, mostly seen by the introduction of a biased initial sample in the initial early years of FAF GPG players, and there being a surge of players that have almost zero exposure to the game. Okay. Solution has been to place players at a lower than theoretically efficient level, but what accommodates the real rather than theoretical true skill bell curve. Yeah, we're mad. Yeah, exactly. People have always hated that you're put against a 1300 at the start. Well, who would have, you know, a different mu? I don't know what they'd have. 1300. They'd have like 1300 displayed. It might be 1500 mu, but or mean or whatever, but yeah, that's not where the mean should be. It should be like 800 displayed rating or something, which would be around 1000. But anyway, Just add 300. Well, no, on ladder you get around. On ladder it's like you add about 200. Because it's around 70 or a bit below 70 for the deviation on ladder. Okay. So yeah, explaining through skill. Yeah, exactly. The sigma is like 70. So that's like 200 because it's multiplied by 3. This in turn has harmed the 30 or so players that are above 1800 that now have had the expectation of playing 10 interpolation placement games. Yeah, so we had that. We had this problem when we were on TMM. We had very imbalanced matchups because we're a strong player, and the interpolation reduced our matching rating or whatever. So yeah, whatever. I'll provide any assistance to candidate TDs. Yeah, FTX does this. Planning to create events in the middle level category. Failed to explain anything about current events. Are you planning on personally hosting events every month or every 2 weeks? Or are you cutting on tournaments currently in the Favlots workshop thread? If you're planning on doing this as a huge sudden spark of motivation to do so when you've never hosted a single tournament in your entire 4 years on Fav. So yeah, I'm going to host new tournaments. It's like, oh, have you ever hosted a tournament before? No. Why haven't you hosted a tournament before? Who knows? He just hasn't, but he will now, as well as training people, which he hasn't done, and etc. You get the picture. I'll do my best to prevent any potential conflict and look further to avoid violations regarding tournament code of conduct. Okay, that exists. We're actually gaining viewers right now. It's ridiculous. I'll aim to combat toxicity. You have actively contributed to creating this toxic atmosphere in the past, considering you have several bans for team killing, toxicity in chat, smurfing, and intentionally losing games. So I didn't know about all of this, but that will have to be addressed, I guess. That's not great, is it? That makes me think that he might not even be allowed to run in the election, but those are the kind of things that would get you disqualified. All applicants have been banned, by the way. I see. Are you taking over as Supreme Ruler? Who's this for, or what are we reading? We're reading, small recap, Player Councillor Election 2021. And we've gone through all the applications. And now we are reading responses applications. The guy has so many bans he's liable to be permit at any given time. Oof, okay. Good to know. Sounds like a great guy for player counselor. He's being allowed to still be up because 9 blocked moderation related discussion. How? That makes well, okay. Makes no sense. How can he block that? Farms thinks Suzuki wins because he will get Russian votes. I mean, that's obviously a big thing in his favor. If I become Supreme Ruler, I will appoint FTX as the PC. When? Yes, when you become Supreme Ruler. Well, that's good. Good to know, Blue Air. Good decision. Who is this dude? Suzuki? Some Russian guy. What's up, Esperanto? Russian player, dual gap sentence, bit of ladder. Banned for these things, apparently. No review of candidates till May 21. Okay. I don't understand that. Makes no sense. But anyway. Okay, I'll address forum topics accordingly. Surveil will have to intervene if necessary. Sounds good. Already done. You also don't really seem very active on the FAF forums at all. Would this also suddenly change when you're PC? Yeah, I mean, you're not out forum warrioring FTX. That's for sure. Council seems to work in mysterious ways. It does. No, it does. It's not. It doesn't just seem to. It's yeah. Yeah. Okay. Plan on reviewing replays. See any issues regarding balance changes. Represent the player's voice. Exactly. The FAF deep state is in control, so. Could you be more specific? What players, what replays, what is valuable data, what are you looking for exactly? Why do you promise this rather than a collaborative plan with the balance team? Explain yourself, basically. A lot of his points need explanation, so. I have no idea who's better. Maybe I should just not give my vote like you do. Well, you can go listen to what I said about Suzuki's application if you think he's a reasonable applicant. I will be planning to collaborate with popular streamers. I want to find one specific streamer who will broadcast lots for the linguistic segment. I still don't understand what that means. And do it as an event in the client. Again, you need a dev to do that. Just what? Yeah. After talking with you, I see what you mean by linguistic segment is working with a Russian streamer to stream events as a sort of Russian FAF live for that audience. No one has a problem with this currently. In fact, I specifically made an exception for Zlo and the Lot streamer blackout because I recognized there was no Russian caster for Russian FAF. And I had no one else to fill in the niche. Yeah, it does. Bias. A lot of stuff won't get on the screen. Some stuff will not even be shown at all in the chat. I mean, I've disabled all these things, but ultimately YouTube chat doesn't allow certain things, doesn't allow links at all, and it doesn't allow, I don't know, certain words. I think sometimes it's very random. Sometimes I'll see like Google has deleted a comment and I'm like, what the fuck is that? So yeah. So yeah, FTX says he made an exception for Zlo to, cast for Russian FAF. And if someone wants to cover FAF events in Russian, all they need to do is send him a PM. And I would work towards accommodating them or even attempting to give them the same streamer tools we were using for FAF Live as it is. So I guess that would mean, all the overlays and stuff if they want them. Cool. So this basically means that nobody has contacted him. But also it seems like FTX is not searching for FAF streamers either or Russian streamers to cover it either. So, well, okay. I welcome attempts to collaborate with popular streamers, but Brink has no interest in working with anything officially part of FAF. Yeah, this has been the case for a long time. Guile has no time to do anything. He doesn't really do live streams at all. Yuri has no interest in covering 1v1 gameplay, which he considers too boring. This is based on the years of attempting to get the big three to cover events. FAF Live is the attempt to concentrate the various audience of high-level streamers and reach out to casual audiences under a single channel. It also serves the additional purpose of giving a selling point for sponsors and advertisers that there is a baseline with little volatility for their product. So again, he really wants to get sponsors involved at some point to increase the revenue streams so that tournaments can have more tournaments more regularly. Thoroughly inspect the environment around lots, do everything possible that everything runs smoothly, and aim to uphold all current responsibilities regarding lots. So It's everything I already do, but I've seen no reason to believe you would suddenly develop the motivation to spend the time I do. Again, you have not even hosted a single tournament for FAF, nor approached me about anything relating to them. Reasonable response. This is the stuff about Galactic War. Big Four. No, I don't count, I guess. I'm not big enough. Yeah, so this is it. I'm gonna see if people want Galactic War, and if not, then I'm going to reallocate development resources in a more necessary direction. Okay. You have no ability to reallocate development resources. Exactly. This has been said by me and Askaholic as well. What's up? Yeah, I'm still reading it. There's a lot to read. Okay, we're gonna read it. Doesn't matter what the poll says. Several devs want to make Galactic War for years. They're gonna do it because they want to. And yeah, if you wanted to poll anything, it would be about what to include with Galactic War and how to include it without harming other ecosystems of players. Okay, cool. Since I'm very interested in the division system, okay, sounds good. This is for the most part what I already do, barring the regularly searching for games kappa. Yeah, once again, just committing to watching loads of replays and stuff. By 2013, Sanders the biggest FAF content creator. Really? Was Guile smaller than this at that point? I suppose he probably was. It was a long time ago. Well, was he? No, he might have been bigger. Actually, I don't know though. I didn't watch him at the time. Didn't even know FAF existed at the time. How much more of this do we have? Well, we'll see. I don't think Suzuki should be allowed to be in the election. Honestly, after just everything I've read now, I think it's just a totally unreasonable application. Anyway, it's mostly too vague to comment on. You've done zero work in this area of FAF and have presented entirely paper-thin statements here that give me zero confidence that you have thought out a plan of action. I agree. The only thing with merit is providing replays to casters, which is commendable without problem. I don't know if he has done that ever as well. Just want to point that out. All the things he says he will do that would be easily done, has he done them? Why is he suddenly going to invest 80 hours a week, as Bladier says? Makes no sense. And then, yeah, just lots of questions about what he said. FTX saying he's tried to make FAF as democratic as possible. One of the things that made him mad enough to take the position back in 2018. When I got elected, there was a grand total of 1 position open for direct election. When I was in council, there were 3 that eventually got downgraded to 2 because the rest of the council overruled my attempt to make promotion councillor selection a direct vote. Yeah, so basically Map and Mods councillor is also elected. And promotion councillor selected on those PC. Okay, that's just evidence in the form of forum posts. Okay, let's go to the conclusion, I guess. Oh, and FTX saying that he wants elections to be a close vote between contributors of the councillor in certain positions. Yeah. Promise to offer FAF the best of your communication skills. I do not see you on any official FAF communication medium. Will you simply get the sudden drive to post in 10 threads a day on the forums once you get a green badge? Be highly active in the Discord, in Aeolus. Promise to offer FAF large assistance in training programs and trainer assistance. I've never even seen you post an iota of training assistance, whether it's on guides on the forums, YouTube, or the Discord. Will you simply suddenly get the drive to answer questions and create guides for 1 to 3 hours a day once you get a green badge? You promise to not only meet my current level of tournament coverage, but surpass it. This is with you never having hosted a single tournament in your 4 or so years on FAF. Will you simply get the sudden drive to learn proper tournament creation, handling tournament coverage logistics, and tournament promotion once you get a green badge? You promise to drastically improve the Matchmaker system. This is with you never even approaching me or anybody associated with the current system about how it works, nor showing any interest in helping within the system. The lack of understanding of the current system is showcased in your proposed reforms of the system that have already been developed by me, but tabled due to the lack of necessary manpower. Will you simply get the sudden motivation to spend time not only working with map authors to fix their maps for the Matchmaker, but also make pools and maintain map sheets once you get the green badge? You promise to refine the true skill system we use. I do not understand how this would happen when you've shown you don't understand the system, the way the system currently works, by suggesting a solution that already exists. You have also not given any sort of concrete values adjustments or suggestions that are intended to lead to a superior system. Do you think I have decent ideas here? Yes, it would be great. Do I think you have decent ideas here? Yes, it would be great to have people help create tutorials for the introductory maps lower rated players play. It will also be great to have curated replays that can be sent to casters. That last point is why I decided to incorporate a replays to cast channel on the Discord where casters can quickly scoop up a decent game given out by a credible player. But if you haven't even tried to implement some of those low initiative / cost ideas now, hosting some tournaments, being active in the training channel, etc., I fail to see why anything would change because you got a green badge. You have 4 years of doing nothing related to any of this platform you posted. I have 3 years of massive investment into this project across all of these areas. The best path forward for FAF is you joining in to collaborate and learn how these segments of FAF operate, and then in the future taking the mantle of managing them. If you have the motivation you claim to have in this post, then you'd not only be able to take a drastic weight off my shoulders, but have the ability to implement most of the ideas you're advocating for here by working alongside me. As it is, I do not think it serves FAF interest to gamble on an entirely unknown entity. FTX sure knows how to type. What's up, Suki? This is FTX. FTX is yeah, I'm voting for FTX anyway. Okay, whatever. So this is Arch. Arch is in the chat. He does the map pool for ladder. Obviously we've been shitting on the map pool for ladder, but that's okay. I mean, you know, he'll make better pools in future, I'm sure. And also we're very salty that we're just losing a lot of games, so that doesn't that doesn't help. Archsomcat, also known as Archdemon, yes. And there's Swankle in the chat as well. I would like to start off by saying I have respect for each of the applicants as players, as individuals, and as members of the FAF community. Well, that is just beautiful. That's beautiful. Good start. Having serious and healthy competition for councillor positions is a good thing. Elections give the incumbent councillor an additional incentive to do the best job he can do aspiring counselors can contribute to prove their worth to the community, and the community as a whole only benefits as a result. With that in mind, I'd like to point out what I think are issues with the applicants' platforms. Bloodier made me write the first sentence. Vote for Alex. Okay. Like other RU participants from the past, what other Russian participants in the past were removed? I don't remember any. Sid got removed from moderation history? Okay. So Javi. Alright. So first thing I noticed is that there's nothing addressed to FTX here. So at Suzuki, are you aware that 1. The player counselor is not the promo counselor. The player counselor role is not the one to reach out to different media and potentially hook them to FAF to a higher extent. 2. The player counselor does not have any special moderation authorities, and a person does not need to be player counselor to, quote, address forum topics accordingly, surveil FAF activities in general, end quote. But the player counselor does not have any special moderation and cannot intervene if necessary. Didn't Morak say intervene if necessary? Anyway, the player counselor does not act as the CEO of FAF and cannot just unilaterally reallocate development resources in a more necessary direction. These are just things that are either not within the power of the player counselor, or just not related to the player counselor role, or just not possible in general. Furthermore, are you aware that you do not need to be a player counselor to do any of the things you've listed? Training people, doing replay reviews, creating map lists, writing new matchmaking algorithms, finding replays for casters, hosting mid-level tournaments, and helping TDs run tournaments. It would be more convincing to show stuff that you've previously done than give promises on what you would hypothetically do. Finally, are you aware of the irony of saying, I will aim to combat toxicity in the FAF community, since as I see it as something that hasn't been properly addressed before, when you yourself have been banned multiple times? As of right now, I'm left wondering, how can I know that you will keep your promises, considering that your promises amount to a full-time job's worth of work into FAF? So really no questions here, except maybe some rhetorical ones, and yeah, that's a good post there. At Francis, I just don't think someone that has been permabanned should legitimately be considered for player counselor. Sorry. Don't think you need to apologize for that, but okay. It's just polite. Morax, it seems to me your bid for player counselor is well thought out, so I'm glad you spent the time to write this up, since in my eyes, this is basically a contest between you and FTX. You want lots to feature a second unrelated tournament for lower rated players. By all means, go ahead and organize this, which by the way you can do even if you aren't player counselor. But I just don't see the point. It's basically just a rating restricted tournament like any other. Doesn't affect the main tournament, and since coverage of lots doesn't even feature all the games from the main tournament, I can hardly see this changing too much from a viewer perspective. That all seems quite reasonable. What is the connection between the tournaments if there's just one lower rated one and it doesn't, yeah, what is the connection there between them? Do you qualify into lots the next year if you get, or what? Is there any connection? Regarding Matchmaker, you were part of the ladder team and then left of your own volition. Are you trying to impose your vision of the Matchmaker via an election instead of trying to collaborate with the rest of us on the ladder team? Okay. That's a nice one. I don't know what happened there, but that's funny. The biggest issue I have with your application is actually your history of withholding prize money. When Bloodier and Nexus won the Shared Army Tournament 2 tourney in 2019, you withheld the prize money that you had already pledged to donate. The fallout where FTX can be seen cleaning after the mess you caused can be seen here. Bit of editing there, but okay. Okay, here we go. Morax 2019, Shared Army 2. Since next time Bladir were told Barts about the 2v2, I will not be giving any money to them. If people think I'm wrong for giving my personal money to people who bitch, then go ahead. Or for not giving people. For not giving my personal money to people who bitch thing, go ahead and despise me. Everyone below them will get the $200 I pledge because unlike their next they likely played with dignity and fun. Go play StarCraft 2 next to some Bloodier. Do not ever expect me to sympathize for your behavior. Nothing of value lost to the community for two players that don't appreciate a game with so little being sponsored by someone who gives their own hard-earned money. Good riddance. Okay, yeah, it's a bit unreasonable, I guess, Morax. I do vaguely remember this, but I don't think I covered this tournament or was in it. FAF will try to cover the other $200 of the tournament prize pool that was rescinded. Apologies to everyone about the situation. I don't know what that... what is this? Okay, Morax now. When is this? Oh, 2017. Okay, so this occurred again in the Dark Heart tourney. Okay, this is a different one. Thinking back, I let Farms, Eco, and Blast play my 3v2 tourney even though the ratings were not that in bounds, and it was just, okay, I let it slide because it would be fun. It's not like I made the rule to be addicted to Farms or anyone in particular. I like Farms as a solid player, although I dislike his childish attitude. This is not a target. Pretty much I'm holding up the rule because of your ability to not troll threads and first engage in adult-like conversations. My money, time, and patience. You pretty much ruined it for him and anyone else, Commando. Grow up a bit and maybe I listen to you. The BH edit tourney. So Farms wasn't let in because he didn't have enough ladder games. Is that the story? Literally holding up almost half the participants because you don't like how someone behaves. So basically Farms didn't have 300 ladder games, so he wasn't let in. But then other guys were let in even though they didn't meet the rating requirements. And then, yeah, I need more posts to understand everything that happened. Okay, not only that, but this is a clearly recurring problem that is still ongoing because you also tried to take back the money you had already committed to Swackle weeks in advance for the Spring Invitational in 2021 after the tournament was already underway. Didn't know about that. Will people have to be afraid of what they say around you? Can the community trust you to be responsible with the funds for tournaments and show matches? Out of all the potential player counselor bids, FTX Commando seemed the strongest to me. He has spearheaded initiatives that have been a massive net gain for the community. Ladder League, FAF Live, League Invitational, tourneys. They have all been successes. Top level ladders way up. Just watch Jagged Appliance recent streams, see how much ladder content is available. Yes, I'm providing many losses for everyone. Don't really know if it's because of... Well, the league does definitely have some impact, for sure. The upcoming division system is also promising. The key is that he's proven to be able to put in time and execute his vision. Exactly. Why would I gamble on an unknown entity when FTX Commando, he has shown that he can do the job of player counselor and do it well? Yeah, backs away slowly. Oh, bias. Top loss provider, exactly. I'm a loss leader. That's what that term means, right? So, obviously, as a counselor, I do have questions. This is the last one. God, we're almost 3 hours of forum posting. This is ridiculous. And we have 70 viewers. Fuck's sake. So, obviously, as a counselor, this is a bias map and mods counselor, I do have questions for new applicants. I also have some responses, kind of like how FTX went about it, just above me here. I'm going to ask a single item for the first round, then I'll dive into the real grilling later. First, why are you here? You've answered what you want to do, but why are you applying exactly? Are you applying to do these things specifically, and why are you not doing them already? Second, and more importantly, more often than not, the primary role of the player counselor is to act as the beat stick, the main tank, if you will. What I'm saying is that in the role, you'll cop a truckload of literal shit that you can't actually do anything about. Examples. If you get a bad map in ladder, FTX takes the blame for it. If I flaked out on making promotional material for lots, FTX would have taken some of the blame, despite there being a counselor role for it. FTX constantly takes flack for balance choices. Hello, Inspector Cod. If your suggestion doesn't get included because it was made in 30 seconds, FTX takes the blame for being a tyrant. That's a map suggestion for ladder, I guess. Or maybe just all suggestions. If someone in FTX remotely close social circles gains any form of reward from work invested, FTX gets blamed for dishing out cash to his friends. Someone who is a trusted mapper, including myself, makes a flaw on a map that is within a pixel of error and causes you an inconvenience. FTX takes the blame. If the pool doesn't get swapped in time, FTX takes blame. If you don't get money from the Patreon in time, FTX takes the blame despite not holding the Patreon. Yeah, FTX does not actually have direct access to the FAF Patreon. Only one person does, that's Shio. Okay. We can go on for a few hours, but I think I've made my point here. FTX has proof of his ability to tank for all this ignorant hatred because of his current status as the tank. New applicants do not. How do you expect to fare against this tide? Do you think your past history as contributors here will reflect well on your chances? That sounds rather pointed. Also, because I'm not going to be bothered to do this later, FAF is a constant burden on my mental health. This was always the case even before I became a counselor. It is a burden because at its heart, the lack of integrity and honesty on the platform is so low it borders on the sociopathic. Even if you were a changed man who is unworthy of your current permaban. I love how we're talking to people who are currently permabanned as though they're actual applicants. And even if you had made some solid points in your application, you did not. Your road to redemption will not start with you lying to my face. I could see a counsellor or maybe even a board member pulling a suicidal play to allow you to run because they had something against FTX Commando, so I actually considered perhaps responding to some of the points in your application. However, I would honestly rather just quit. Please answer the questions promptly so I can ask you more questions. Thanks, boys. I'm ready for a 3-hour stream just to talk about Shio. To whom FAF Patreon belongs? Well, Shio has access to the Patreon. Who it belongs to is an interesting question, I suppose. Okay, well, if you don't care, then don't fucking watch. I mean, that's what we're doing now. Although we've caught up now, so we've read all the stuff so far. So we gave our opinions on the applications, and yeah. Belongs to the FAF Association, Alex? Does it though? I mean, I guess it kind of. I mean, it's not an unreasonable answer. Tomorrow, dictionary reading. Well, again, if you're bored, you can, you know, you don't have to listen. It amazes me. It amazes me. Yes, both FTX's name and Max ends in X. Correct. Ah, okay. Understandable, Alistair. Just usually dictionary reading is not considered very interesting, so that's what I thought you meant. Okay, see you, Andrew. Right, so I guess we can kind of end it there. That's plenty of stuff. Can everyone vote? Yeah, everyone with a FAF account can vote. Could play a ladder match. Yeah, I don't think there's anyone around to play now. Maybe there is. But also we've been streaming for like almost 3 hours. Who do I vote? FTX. Maybe Morex, but look, FTX. Straight up. There's no contest. Some chess. Alright, let's open the chess. I don't play this. Oh god. This is fine. Oh. Oh, we hung that pawn, by the way. Fuck. Oh, fuck. I did not recognize that bishop was there. Oh no, that was a bad move as well. Shit. Shit. Okay, what? Oh god. So bad at this game. Well, we lost. Oh god. GG. GG. Who'd I vote for just to be a meme? Bloodier. See Casey. I think he could have taken that D pawn. Pretty sure. Oh, I should have taken with the rook. Fuck. Fuck. This is terrible. God damn it. You're so bad. 3v3. I don't see it. Check challenges. Who's this? A brand new account. Wanting to play Bullet. I'm gonna get roasted. Fuck. I need to figure out what move I'm supposed to play against that. Knight c3 there. Because I don't know. Maybe I should just play it more aggressive. Don't like this at all. Is he doing this or what? This is arch apparently. We took with the pawn. Okay, well I'll just do this then, I guess. Okay, that looks good. Bit of queen action maybe. Does he do this maybe? This? Do I want to? Oh god, I can take this and win the bishop. I think. No, wait. If he defends with the... No, he can't defend there. Okay. Oh. Oh, okay. GG. Blunderosa. Oh. No, it's fine. Big yikes. Yeah, this doesn't look good for black. 15k? No, just 1500. GG. Alright, see you boys. Just play 1v1 in AoE 2. I know I know d4 better than I know any black openings, so when I get to play d4 it's much better. Yeah, forums are more interesting than chess. That's for sure. 1v1 me AoE. 1v1 me in Rocket League. I got to champ in Rocket League 3s, and then I have basically not played the game since. Why is my FAF client not open? Yeah, I think that game that they were talking about is started already. Oh yeah, it is. Who's in that game? Tagada, Thao, Hartzer, Wounded, Inquisition, and Young 96 new. Champ 3 solo queue. Holy fuck. Never play AoE with you. Do you hate us? No, I don't. I just haven't played AoE in ages. Yeah, sure, maybe at some point. My inbox is appalling. Why does I have 318 unread messages? I mean, on my other account I have like 1600. So, what's up, Jim? How's it going? I mean, I do have AoE, so like I've only played some 1v1s, the odd team game, but recently I haven't played in ages. Anyway, I'm gonna end the stream there. It's been a few hours, and yeah, I don't mind. I'll play team games or 1v1 or whatever. Yeah. Fucking university always sends you plenty of crappy emails. Alright. See you next time, guys, and remember to vote FTX. This has been a public service announcement, sponsored by the FTX Corporation. Bye, guys.